The ranch stretched endlessly under the vast, starry sky, bathed in the silvery glow of a full moon. Shadows danced across the sprawling pastures, transforming familiar landscapes into magical realms. The sounds of the night were soothing. A gentle breeze whispered through tall grasses while distant crickets serenaded the tranquility. Cattle roamed contentedly, their silhouettes softly outlined against the moonlight. Each cow was more than just livestock. They were cherished members of the ranching family, nurtured and cared for by generations. To the ranch heir, the cattle represented tradition and livelihood, a vital link to their family's history. The branding of these animals was not merely a task. It was a rite that connected past and present. With each soft moo, one could sense the bond that formed between man and beast. The ranch had its own rhythm, dictated by the rising sun and falling night. Every evening was an opportunity for peace, where worries faded beneath the watchful eyes of stars. This night, however, something felt different in the air. A subtle tension loomed as if nature herself sensed an approaching storm. Little did anyone know that rustlers lurked nearby, drawn by silvered brands glowing on a few prized cattle. But for now, under the moon's embrace, all seemed serene. Yet shadows whispered of challenges yet to come. As the moon hung high in the night sky, the ranch heir, Jake, stepped outside to take in the peaceful landscape. At just 16, he was already known for his bravery and deep love for the cattle that grazed under the stars. Jake had grown up on this land, learning from his father about every aspect of ranch life. His heart swelled with pride as he gazed at the familiar silhouettes. Their gentle eyes and soft snorts felt like family to him. One cow, a beautiful black and white Holstein named Daisy, approached him with curiosity. Jake knelt down, reaching out to scratch her behind the ears. He could feel their special bond. She had been by his side since she was a calf. In those moments, he understood what it meant to be a protector, to stand strong for those who depended on him. But that night weighed heavily on his mind. The rustlers lurking nearby made him anxious. He knew he couldn't let them harm his beloved cattle. Determined and resolute, Jake decided he would do whatever it took to defend them. With courage bubbling in his chest, he resolved to keep watch throughout the night, ready to face any challenge that might arise. As the moonlight bathed the ranch in a soft glow, Jake remembered the age-old tradition of branding cattle under the night sky. It was a ritual passed down through generations, where families gathered to mark their livestock and claim ownership. The act of branding was significant. It connected the rancher to their land and animals, sealing a bond that could last a lifetime. Tonight, with the moon shining brightly above, Jake planned to brand the new calves born earlier that spring. He and his father had prepared everything. The hot iron rested in the fire, glowing red and ready for use. The gentle lowing of the cattle created a calming rhythm, easing any nerves Jake felt about the task ahead. When he finally applied the branding iron to one of the calves, the brand sizzled against its fur, leaving a mark that would glow softly in the moonlight. This ethereal light seemed to pulse with life, a symbol of protection and belonging. Each glimmering brand told a story, linking each animal to their rightful home. Jake felt pride swell in his chest as he looked at the newly branded calves, knowing they were now part of his family's legacy. But as he stepped back to admire his work, he couldn't shake off the feeling that danger lurked nearby, waiting for an opportunity to strike. As Jake admired the glowing brands on the calves, a rustle in the underbrush broke the calm of the night. His heart raced as he strained to listen. Shadows moved in the distance, and soon he could make out figures creeping closer to the herd. The rustlers had arrived, drawn by the allure of valuable cattle and driven by desperation. These men were not just thieves. They were desperate individuals willing to risk everything for a chance at survival. With each step they took, their intentions became clearer. They aimed to steal livestock that represented hard work and dreams for families like Jake's. The moonlight glinted off their tools, a grim reminder of the threat that loomed over the ranch. Jake's instincts kicked in as he quietly moved closer, trying to assess how many rustlers there were. He could feel anger bubbling inside him. These men had no right to take what wasn't theirs. With his fists clenched, he knew he had to protect his cattle at all costs. Determined not to let fear overwhelm him, Jake thought about his father's teachings. A true rancher stands up for what is right. He reached for his flashlight, preparing to confront the intruders and defend his beloved cattle from those who sought to harm them under the cover of night. As Jake crouched low, he watched the shadows shift among the cattle, his heart pounding with urgency. The glowing brands he had just placed on the calves were now a beacon for the rustlers, illuminating their targets in the dark. He could see the faint glimmer of the brands reflecting off their eyes, revealing just how close they were to getting what they wanted. The rustlers were moving stealthily, but Jake noticed how their eyes darted towards the marked calves. Each glow was like a warning sign that led them deeper into the herd. Fear gripped him as he realized they were counting on the moonlit brands to guide them to easy prey. With every step they took, his resolve grew stronger. He had to act fast. Jake's mind raced as he considered his options. He couldn't let these intruders succeed. Not only did it threaten his family's legacy, but also put every animal he loved in danger. He spotted a sturdy fence post nearby and quietly moved toward it, hoping to use its height to get a better view and formulate a plan. Taking a deep breath, Jake steadied himself. If those men thought they could take advantage of the night's beauty for their own gain, they were about to learn just how fierce a protector he could be. With determination burning in his chest, he prepared to confront the rustlers head-on and outsmart them beneath the watchful moon. As Jake crouched behind the fence post, a sudden idea sparked in his mind. He could outsmart the rustlers by creating decoy cattle marked with false brands to trick them. The glowing marks that had initially guided the intruders could now lead them astray. With quick determination, Jake began to survey the area. He noticed a few old bales of hay near the barn, which would serve as great hiding spots for the decoys. With the moonlight shimmering overhead, he decided to move a few calves into this area and brand them with different marks. Marks that would confuse the rustlers instead of revealing their true ownership. Jake quietly gathered the supplies he needed for this risky plan, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He motioned to Daisy and another calf to follow him, leading them toward the bales while making sure to keep his movements silent and stealthy. Once the calves were in position, he branded them with misleading symbols and carefully arranged bales around them to create a more deceptive scene. The glowing brands would lure the rustlers in, making it seem like treasure while protecting the rest of his herd hidden safely away. Feeling a surge of hope mixed with fear, Jake prepared himself for what was to come. If his plan worked, they would be caught off guard, and he could protect his beloved cattle from harm. A true testament to his bravery as a rancher. As the rustlers approached, their eyes gleamed with greed at the sight of what they thought were easy targets. They dashed toward the decoy cattle, unaware that Jake had cleverly set a trap. With adrenaline pumping through his veins, Jake watched from his hiding spot, holding his breath as the rustlers drew closer to the bales of hay. "Look at those brands!" one rustler shouted excitedly, pointing at the glowing symbols on the decoys. The group quickened their pace, their intentions clear. They were ready to seize their prize. But Jake knew this was all part of his plan. Suddenly, the rustlers reached the calves and slowed down in confusion, realizing something felt off. Just then, with a raucous thud, Jake made his move. He emerged from behind the fence post and shouted loudly to scare them off. "Hey, get away from my cattle!" Surprised by Jake's sudden appearance, the rustlers turned to run. But as they glanced back, believing they could still claim their loot, they stumbled over each other in a chaotic scramble. The chase began. Jake sprinted after them, determined to defend what was rightfully his. The moonlit landscape shimmered around them as dust kicked up beneath their feet. Heart racing, Jake focused on keeping close enough to keep them from regrouping while letting out warning shouts for help to anyone nearby. This night was far from over. Jake was ready for whatever came next in this thrilling pursuit. As Jake chased after the rustlers, a thought struck him. He needed backup. He couldn't do this alone. His neighbors were always ready to lend a hand when it came to protecting their community. As he sprinted, Jake quickly made his way to the nearby farmhouse of Mr. Thompson, a seasoned rancher and a trusted friend. Rapping on the door, he called out urgently, "Mr. Thompson, we've got rustlers in the area. I need your help." Within moments, Mr. Thompson emerged, his face set with determination. Without hesitation, he grabbed his hat and shotgun, ready to join the fight. Jake then dashed towards the other nearby homes, gathering more friends and neighbors along the way. Each person rallied behind him, knowing how vital it was to protect their shared livelihood. As they assembled near the cattle pens, flashlights flickered on, illuminating their faces filled with resolve and bravery. The group formed a line near the bales of hay where the decoys were hidden. With Mr. Thompson issuing quick commands and organizing everyone's positions, they prepared for what lay ahead. Jake felt a surge of hope as he looked around at the support from his community. Together, they would defend their land. With adrenaline coursing through their veins and a sense of camaraderie fueling them, Jake and his neighbors took their positions beneath the moonlight, ready to confront the rustlers and protect what mattered most. The moonlight cast a silvery glow over the ranch as Jake and his neighbors took their positions, hearts pounding in anticipation. The rustlers, thinking they had outsmarted everyone, crept closer to the decoy cattle, unaware of the brave ranchers waiting silently in the shadows. Tension hung thick in the air. It felt like the calm before a storm. Suddenly, the rustlers lunged forward, believing they could claim their prize without resistance. But just as they reached for the calves, Jake and his allies shouted in unison, "Not on our watch!" The rustlers froze, eyes wide with surprise as beams of flashlights illuminated the scene, revealing determined faces ready to defend what was theirs. In that instant, chaos erupted. The rustlers scrambled to regroup while Jake and his friends charged toward them with fierce determination. Adrenaline surged through Jake's veins as he spotted one rustler trying to slip away. With quick thinking, he threw a nearby rope, catching the man off guard and bringing him tumbling to the ground. The sound of hooves and shouts filled the air as both sides clashed under the bright moonlight. Each rancher fought valiantly alongside Jake, showcasing their bravery as they pushed back against desperation and greed. This battle was more than just a fight for cattle. It was a stand for their community and its values. As dust swirled around them and emotions ran high, they were united in purpose: protect their land at all costs. As dawn broke over the ranch, the first rays of sunlight illuminated the aftermath of the skirmish. The rustlers had fled, leaving behind only dust and echoes of their hurried retreat. Jake and his neighbors stood together, catching their breath, relief washing over them like the warm morning light. They had fought bravely to protect their cattle and their way of life, and together they had succeeded. In the quiet of the early morning, Jake looked around at his friends and neighbors, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. They had come together as a community, each person playing a vital role in the defense of their ranch. This experience had taught him that courage is not just about facing danger alone. It's about standing shoulder to shoulder with those who share your values and dreams. As they checked on the cattle, Jake felt immense pride knowing that the glowing brands on the calves symbolized not only ownership but also unity. They were marks of resilience, a reminder of what they had fought to protect. Reflecting on the night's events, Jake realized that true strength lies in community. They had faced a threat together and emerged stronger for it. With renewed determination, he vowed to continue caring for his land and livestock, cherishing the bond they shared. The ranch was safe once more, and he knew he would always stand ready to defend it, side by side with his friends and family under the vast, open sky. As evening settled back over the ranch, the moon hung high in the sky, casting a gentle silver light across the land. The cattle, now safe and sound after the night's turmoil, grazed peacefully in the pastures, their soft mooing creating a serene melody that blended with the whispering wind. Jake stood at the edge of the field, watching them with a heart full of gratitude. The glowing brands on the calves glistened under the moonlight, symbols of unity and protection that reminded him of their shared triumph over adversity. Daisy, his beloved Holstein, ambled closer, her gentle eyes reflecting both trust and contentment as she nibbled on the grass. In that moment, Jake felt not just relief but a profound sense of belonging to this land and its creatures. Around him, his neighbors shared smiles and laughter as they recalled their courageous stand against danger. The bond between them had strengthened through their shared experience. Together they forged a promise to always watch over each other and their community. With each passing minute, peace returned to the ranch, restoring its beauty and tranquility. The peaceful scene of cattle beneath the luminous moon was a reminder of what truly mattered: safety, courage, and the strength found in community. As Jake breathed in the cool night air, he knew they would always stand together to safeguard these cherished lands for generations to come.